One of the biggest changes in Tailwind CSS 4.0 is that it doesn't have a tailwind.config file. So you have to configure all your customizations directly in your CSS file. And in this video, we are going to be looking at how to do that. In Tailwind versions prior to version 4, you have your tailwind.config.js file, and it usually looks something like this. You have your content, and then maybe you can select a dark mode or your prefix, and then you have your theme, most importantly, and then set of plugins you want to import. We'll be looking at each of these attributes one after the other and how to accomplish the same effect in your CSS file. Starting with the content section, this is where you select the path to all your HTML file, your JavaScript file, and whatsoever file that is going to use tailwind.css. But in Tailwind version 4, this content part or content section is fully automated by Tailwind. So as long as you import Tailwind at the top of the file, it automatically does these settings for you. Next up, we have the prefix section. And what the prefix does is, it makes sure for any of our Tailwind based class to work, we need to precede it with TW- or whatever you set in this particular place. And so for every of our classes, we need to precede them with that particular prefix we've set. But in the new settings, all we need to do is to come here and then type prefix, put a bracket, and then that whatever character we want to precede it with. I don't know why it's showing squiggly lines, but it actually works. But the difference here in version 4.0 is we no longer use dash. Instead, we have to put a semicolon. And so in this case, we are using TW, and then we have to put a semicolon for it to work. We have the theme section. The theme section in Tailwind allows for customizations of classes. And we can do that in two basic ways. We can either extend a group of classes, or rather, we replace that entire group of class. To achieve this in Tailwind version 4, we have to come to our CSS file, where our Tailwind CSS is imported, and then we add the theme section. And then we could do our customization. For example, here we are working with screens, which are breakpoints. To achieve that in Tailwind version 4, all we need to do is to add breakpoint, the name of that breakpoint, and its corresponding value. And we could do this for all breakpoints. Now with this, we've extended the breakpoint functionality to include small, medium, and large. So if there's any extra classes under breakpoint that Tailwind provides, that class will still be available. But what if what we want to do is to replace the entire breakpoint class so that we have only these classes we've assigned here, small, medium, and large? All we have to do is to set an initial value. So we set it breakpoint. And we give it a value of initial. And so to go on and on, if we are customizing colors, we are extending colors. For instance, we could do color, and we could say, let's say yellow. And copy this as code. And then we could give it this value. Now, one thing you need to notice from version 3 and version 4 is that some of the names have changed. For example, here we deal with colors with an S, but here we only deal with color without an S. And for example, our screens has now been changed to breakpoints. Finally, we have the plugin section. The plugin section in Tailwind version 3 allows you to import plugins installed. These plugins can provide extra components, extra classes, extra utilities, or variables to your CSS file. And to use plugins in version 4, all you need to do is to add the plugin section to your CSS file. And in this case, I want to import Daisy UI. And with just this single line of code, Daisy UI has been registered along my plugins. Now you have to note that for the plugin to work in the first place, the plugin has to be installed. And while most plugin does this setting automatically for you, some do not, and you have to manually register them in your CSS file.